Oh, no doubt that one felt good throughout Birdland. The Orioles beat the Yankees 3-2. An unlikely hero, Coby Mayo, with a three-run homer. You never can predict baseball. That's another night that proves that, guys. As the Orioles ended a 9-game losing streak to the Yankees, they had only been 4-13 in this series since the start of 2025. They needed to show they could beat them, and they did. Now we're going to see the rest of this series. I think it's really important, guys. And by the way, welcome everybody into Birdland Territory with Steve, Brad, and Tim. Important that they win this series. They eke out one more somehow. 2 would be spectacular. 1 would be a series victory. What are your guys' impressions of Monday night's victory?
Yeah, to me, it's winning that first game of the series always seems to make it just a little bit easier to try to win the series. And now you just got to win one of the next 2 and kind of get some momentum moving forward. But big win last night. You know, they came and scored late in the game, and great homer by Coby there last night. You got to feel good for the guy. You could tell how excited he was, and just kind of a sigh of relief after making that error last week and kind of ending that game there in Miami. So great all-around win. The bullpen, great shutdown game for them also, and just a really, really good win, and hopefully can carry some of the momentum into the next couple games.
Steve, it was funny. You made the point in the press box last night where it was probably right around when Coby Mayo hit that 3-run homer where you said, man, it feels like the Yankees are really dominating this game, but you're a bloop and a blast away from tying it up. And lo and behold, it ended up being a Weaver. Coby Mayo hitting the 3-run shot. It was more of a here we go again through the first 6 innings where, oh my God, another lefty. The Orioles were 0-9 against left-handed starters heading into last night. And here's Ryan Weathers, who he was under the weather. That's why he had to miss a couple of days. His last start was against the Orioles in the Bronx, and he was fantastic. The first 6 innings, no hit. He ended up walking Taylor Ward to start the game, and then he retired 12 straight batters. But the Orioles found a way. And hey, after we were doing the show on Sunday where it was pitching and defense, it was kind of more of the same. You saw some strong defensive plays. The bullpen was absolutely nails late in that game. Brandon Young didn't have his A stuff, but all in all, going 5 1/3, it was a really solid outing for him.
Yeah, that was much needed. The Orioles get game 1 of the series against the Yankees. Hey, we're glad so many of you have found our show, and we hope you keep subscribing. Our next goal is 1,000 subscribers. We are getting closer and closer, so keep following Birdland Territory here on YouTube. Please subscribe, follow us on the podcast networks. We're here 3 times a week with 30-minute shows. We're on top of all things Orioles. Hopefully, that's the goal, and we appreciate you guys finding us and heading to 1,000 subscribers. So keep following and keep subscribing to Birdland Territory. So, guys, before Coby Mayo had his big night, he was batting just 158, 110 plate appearances. In his previous 12 games, he was 3 for 32 with an OPS of 185. That's the OPS, 185. Since he hit 3 homers in a 3-game span, April 21 through 24, he had gone 13 games without one. So, yes, he was an unlikely hero. And he got a pitch that I'm sure the pitcher would want back. But here's the thing. You still got to hit it, and you got to hit it over the wall. And Coby did that. If every mistake pitch ended up over the wall, the Major League home run leader would have 150, and they don't. So, Brad, you hope that can mean a lot to Coby. As for one night, it certainly did.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like I mentioned before, his reaction told me everything. He was so pumped to hit that homer, and you could tell it wasn't just for him. It was to help the team. And I think that's the biggest thing I got out of that whole thing was he got the pitch he was kind of looking for. It was a hanger, but like you said, you have to hit it. And he hit it, and it was in a big spot, gave them the lead. And you could just tell when he went in the dugout as he crossed home plate. I thought he almost broke Buck Britton's hand at third base as he went by, giving him a high five there. So it was just really good to see. And I kind of mentioned to you guys this morning, it's like, I've heard about Coby Orioles here and there. And it's like, you think he's 27, 28. He's still only 24 years old. And he got called up when he was 22. It's just amazing at the youth of this team still with all the guys that I had to go look at the roster to see. And it's like every main guy is 24 or younger. Adley's being 28. He's like one of the older guys on the roster. It's amazing to see that, that the pressure put on these guys at such a young age. It had to feel like a monkey got taken off his back last night when he hit that home run.
I feel like we've talked a lot in recent episodes, guys, that we love it. Fans love it when players take accountability. And we've heard Craig Albernaz do that. We've heard Pete Alonso, Gunnar Henderson, Chris Bassett. Well, when Coby Mayo made that throwing error at the end of that Marlins series that ended up leading to a walk-off, he didn't duck the media. He stood there and he explained what happened during that play, what he wished transpired. And I really respected that. And I think anyone can respect that. And I thought it was really cool being at the yard last night, seeing that moment and seeing him initially with Kevin and Ben on the Masson broadcast and him saying, look, I haven't came through in enough of those big spots, but gosh, you could just tell what it meant for him. And then being in the clubhouse when he was talking to the reporters, just him saying, I forget who asked him, but like, who did you lean on? Friends, family. He brought up his dog. He said, my dog has no idea I committed the error. My dog has no idea I was 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts. And, it was just such a weight off his shoulders. It was really, really cool to see last night following that game.
It was, and there's so much pressure on these young kids. And Brad, you're right. I mean, Coby was a high school pick, so you can get there a little sooner than a college junior. You're younger, like he was, and you don't have some of the experience that college drafted guys may have over their careers. And so now in this day and age of prospects, your top 100, everybody knows your name, everybody knows your stats. Back when I was a kid, we didn't know what some of these guys looked like till they got up for the Orioles and we saw them on TV. Very different now, so much pressure. And I'm always impressed with how the young guys handle all that fame and fortune because everybody knows their name before they play a game in the major leagues.
Yeah. And to me too, what goes into that is like you mentioned was the experience factor. A lot of times, like when I was coming up, when you got to AAA, you're facing guys who were men. They were grown men. They're in their 30s. They have families. They're up and down. They've traveled this long journey. Now in AAA, when I was playing my last season, I was almost 10 years older than almost everybody in the bullpen I was sitting with. It's just changed a lot. These guys have a lot thrown their way at such a young age that when they don't have this instant success, it's like they want to get rid of them. And it's like, man, this guy's only 24 years old. Like I was mentioning to you guys, I was 25 and I got called up for the first time. I know I was a college junior, late round pick, but I had basically 3 full seasons in the minor leagues as a 22-year-old when I got drafted. So the fact that these guys come up at 22 and they're just thrown into the spotlight, expected to contribute right away, it's amazing. In this day and age with the social media and like you said, the top 100 prospects, everybody just knows everything about you. So when you get up, you don't have this instant success. It's like, what's going on? This guy's supposed to be this big time home run hitter. He's supposed to hit 300. He's supposed to do all this stuff. And it's like, man, just give him a little bit of time. He just needs to get comfortable.
It really is an interesting discussion. And I think we could do multiple episodes on this. And Steve, you know more than anyone, just knowing the Orioles minor league system inside and out. And I'm sure just from your time beginning to cover that, just to where it's at right now, fans, and I feel like this really ramped up, quite frankly, when the 2018 team ended up getting blown up at the All-Star deadline. And then Mike Elias coming in, and you're going through that rebuild. You know that there's going to be tough times, and it certainly was for multiple years of losing over 100 games in Baltimore. But what got fans to buy in were these prospects, were these high draft picks. And I think especially in Baltimore, that's what you would look towards. You're looking towards the future instead of the present. And obviously that has since changed since the Orioles have gotten competitive. But, you knew all the guys coming up, and the Orioles, gosh, they had countless guys on top 100 prospects list. And now MLB TV, all these games are televised in Delmarva and Frederick and Norfolk, and the exposure. And I think it's really, really cool, but it is kind of that double-edged sword where I think there's that added pressure on these guys where not every prospect pans out. Not every top 100 guy ends up having a career. And then on the flip side, you have the undrafted guy. You have the guy that comes out of nowhere that is a multiple-time All-Star. It's just kind of a crapshoot.
It's 10 years ago, I was the only one going to places like Frederick and Bowie, and now every outlet has stories. I've run into people from other outlets when I go to minor league games. Everybody's got a podcast. Everybody's got a top 30. It's exploded. So I'm happy for the minor league kids who have coverage now. At the same time, the double-edged sword is the more coverage means the more expectation when you get there. Fans want you to do it today, immediately. 2 weeks in, he's a bust. What happened to this kid? And sometimes it takes a lot longer than that. So we all feel good for Coby Mayo. And I know Oriole fans, even the ones that criticized him, do, because he's been through a lot and he had a big night. So congrats to Coby Mayo on a big swing, maybe the biggest of his early major league career. Birdland Territory rolls on. More topics coming your way.
Kratzy, real simple, man. When you're looking for the best seats available, where are you headed, big dog?
SeatGeek, super easy, because they give us everything you need. You can look at where you're going to be sitting. I got to sit at a certain spot. I want to be able to see the whole field. I don't need to be close to the field. Got to be a little higher, out of the sun. I'm bougie that way.
Of course you are. And guess what? You have a big family, and so do I. So you have to decide right away. You got to do something quick. This is real simple. It's affordable, and it's fantastic for a big family like yours and mine to get seats available as soon as possible. Oh, no, yeah. You need a code? I got that for you, too. You can use code Territory10 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% of any tickets with promo code Territory10. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app and have the code automatically added to your account so you can use it later. With over 35 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. Thank you, SeatGeek.
So after 25 straight games of allowing 3 runs or more, the last 2 wins for the Orioles, they've allowed 3 runs total on 9 hits with 19 strikeouts. So that's more like it for the pitching staff. The bullpen has quietly put together 6 straight games of 1 earned run or less, 1.35 ERA, oh, by the way, in that stretch. Brandon Young, guys, did not pitch to this level last year. He was mediocre. He would probably be the first to say that. I wonder what you guys think has changed, what he's doing different or better. But, I mean, he held the Yankees in check last night after an early home run. And, I mean, that was a pretty stellar outing.
Yeah, it was. And like you said, giving up those runs early again, it kind of seems to be a little bit of a theme, but at least he didn't give it up until the second or third inning last night. And I think he's just doing a great job attacking with his fastball. I think he's starting to realize that it really plays at the level, the big league level. And I think that's really all it takes is just a little bit of confidence. When you're down at AAA, you can get away with a lot of stuff. And then you get called up, and especially a guy that's going back and forth, you feel like you have to be perfect all the time. But I think giving him a little bit of a leash here and having, like I said, with these injuries, you obviously don't want to see that happen, but who knows, maybe it could benefit them come the end of the season here, having these young guys get these consistent starts in the rotation. So for him, I've really just seen him leaning on his fastball when he needs it and kind of just letting it ride in the zone and finally realizing that it plays really well at the big league level and he's able to lean on that. And then you can get to your good off speed stuff. But for me, it's been the fastball. Last night, he didn't have the greatest command with it like he did the last couple innings against the Marlins, but he really, when he needed a big pitch, he leaned on it and he was getting those pop-ups again like he was doing in Miami.
That's the thing that's most impressive to me, Brad, is I don't think, and Brandon Young would say it, he didn't have his A game last night, but you will still take that start that he delivered every single day of the week against that lineup, only giving up 3 hits. He did have 3 walks, but when you consider the first inning, guys, he threw 29 pitches, and thankfully he didn't give up any earned runs in that first inning. And look, Ben Rice, he's going to get a lot of people. You know, he already has gotten a lot of people on the home run that he gave up. But all in all, you give Brandon Young a ton of credit. He went back out in the 6th inning, able to get an out into the 6th inning. That was exactly what the Orioles needed.
You know, it's interesting. The ability to pitch up, top of the zone or above it, for many years in baseball, that was a big no-no. Boy, you don't throw up. Now, the data, Brad, and I wonder if that's what they look at. It's called induced vertical break, which is, I don't know a ton about that, except I know the numbers. When you see 17, 18, 19, that's good. And for me, simplifying it, it means he has good ride on his fastball that is harder to get to at the top of the zone. Was that prevalent towards the end of your career, or is that even newer than that?
Yeah, it was definitely prevalent towards the end of my career. I mean, there was a point couple years ago, right after I got done, where it was nothing but four seamers up in the zone. You're starting to see the sinker make a comeback again. But even so, guys are throwing their sinkers at the top of the zone and kind of using their off speed, depending on the off speed they have, but they'll throw it at the top and then use the off speed that complements it at the bottom. But yeah, it's been something that's been, when I was playing, it was called a sneaky fastball. And it was one of those ones where, or invisible fastball, like invisible, like you threw a fastball right down the middle, guys are swinging and missing. That was induced vertical break. We just didn't have a term for it back in the day. It was kind of, man, this guy's throwing an invisible, like he's throwing right down the middle, getting swings and misses. But now these guys have learned with the data, with the TrackMans, that when you throw the pitch at the top of the zone, it's really hard to square up. So Brandon Young for sure is using that data right now, and he's getting a lot of pop-ups. And last night, even with that sinker up in the zone, I don't think it's exactly the location he was looking for. Sometimes you just have to tip your cap. I think at Yankee Stadium, that's probably a double to Ben Rice last night. But unfortunately, when you're playing at Camden Yards, those balls are going to get out. But not a terrible pitch, just probably not the location exactly he was looking for. So, but I'm just been really impressed with him. And I think the data is coming back that, hey, man, you got to throw your fastball a lot more, and you got to use it at the top of the zone and just kind of locate it and then use your off speed from there.
It is interesting just to see what becomes in vogue when it comes to pitching. You know, a couple years ago, I feel like everyone was picking up a sweeper. Like Brad, what do you think the biggest change in pitching, you know, from the start of your career to even now? What do you think that's been?
I think location to me, I think when I was pitching, everything was down and away. When I came up with the Padres, they literally told us, if you can't throw a fastball down and away for a strike 8 out of 10 pitches, you're not going to pitch for us. So the pitch down and away to hitters just really isn't prevalent anymore. A lot of guys' swings have kind of evolutionized to that. And then the last couple of years too, like I was saying, a lot of guys started throwing four seamers at the top of the zone. Hitters adjusted to that. So now the sinker came back. It's just a constant cat and mouse game. And I remember having pitching coaches who said, oh, the sinker will come back. It just takes a little bit of time. It's always there. Sinker slider guys will always be around. It's going to take a couple of years for it to make its return. But here we are now seeing guys throw sinker sliders again, whether it's a sweeper or it's a slider. It's very similar pitch. So to me, I love seeing that. I think it's a really cool aspect of the game when you really dive deep into the data, into what's going on, the analytics side of things. It's really cool to see the adjustments the pitchers make, and then the hitters catch up, and then it's back to making another adjustment. Now they have, whatever pitch is in vogue now, but it always constantly seems to be changing, but it's kind of still the same game regardless of how it's being played.
Right. With a lot more data. And the data, even the minor league pitchers tell me, they can tell them now, okay, here's 3 major leaguers with great sliders. Here's the data they get on that. Here's your data. This is them. This is where you need to get to. And if you get to this data point, this spin rate, this movement profile, you can get big league hitters out with this slider. It doesn't always work 100%, but you didn't have it 20 years ago. You just knew, you watch video maybe, or you could just watch your own movement. You read bats. Now you can say, if I gain certain data points, maybe I can have a great slider. It's really amazing what's in the game right now to make players better. Speaking of pitching, how about late in the game? We want to get to that in a moment here. Some great work by the Orioles late in the game Monday night as they defeated the Yankees.
Big dog, you know how it is, man. We're always hungry. And how do we get our food? We don't want the stuff that makes our bellies hurt. We go to HelloFresh. We find out specifically what we love to eat. And guess what, Kratzy? I know it helps you out the household. Wifey is happy, and the kids are extra happy.
I'm good at 2 things. Cooking is one of them, but not trying to choose what we're going to have. I've gone 15 meals so far, and they haven't given me one repeat meal. There's so many to choose from, and they can make it easy for me.
Yeah, and I think the best part of it is for me, I'm very particular. I'm trying new things, and I'm really, really liking these things from HelloFresh. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM now to get 10 free meals plus a free breakfast for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's HelloFresh.com/FT10FM to get 10 free meals plus free breakfast for life. Who wants that? I know everybody would love that.
Quick plug for my Substack. I hate plugging my own material, but if I don't do it, who will? And so I cover the Orioles daily on my Substack. You can check it out, steveonbaseball.substack.com. And today I wrote a big feature on Vahiva Aloy. He was the Golden Spikes Award winner last year at Arkansas. Big bat, pretty good glove and arm too. He gets great grades from scouts, a top 10 Oriole prospect. So that's at steveonbaseball.substack.com. Hopefully you check that out. And a great kid from Hawaii. He's very proud of his Hawaiian roots. He knows major leaguers like Shane Victorino, is close with his family. And so I enjoyed writing today about Vahiva Aloy, who has 10 homers already. No Oriole minor leaguer has more than that. So, guys, some great work late in the game last night. The save for Nunez, he did it again. And an unofficial save we'll give to Garcia because that was heavy lifting for Rico in the eighth. And he buzzed through Ben Rice, Aaron Judge, and Cody Bellinger on 9 pitches.
Yeah, I mean, there's really not any words you can say about Rico Garcia at this point. I mean, 1 hit now in 19 innings is just unheard of. When it's just funny that, Mason Miller out in San Diego is getting all these headlines, all this stuff. Like he throws 104, but I mean, those stats are just absolutely insane. And to go out there in the 8th inning, which is a lot harder when he's been closing the last week, it's a lot harder than fans might think. I know he's not typically, the closer for the Orioles, but when you've been pitching the 9th inning every game the last couple of weeks with Helsley out, to be called upon in the 8th inning there is a little bit different on your routine. And I think that job he did last night was unbelievable. It was just, I mean, coming right at guys, just throwing that curveball, the changeup. He just has everything working right now. And like Ben said on the broadcast last night, he really is in his zone. When he's out there on the mound, you can tell he's thinking about his pitches, what he's going to throw, what he wants to throw next. And he's kind of one pitch away ahead of the hitters right now. And it's really fun to watch. And it's great for a guy who's bounced around a bunch too. It's one of the stories that should be getting a lot more publicity throughout Major League Baseball right now.
Brad, I'm with you. Like, I don't know what more to say about this guy. Like, this guy is just spectacular what he's doing. And Steve, I'm with you 100%. You saying the unofficial save. The reason Craig Alvarez sent him out there in the 8th inning is because he was facing Murderer's Row, where you got Ben Rice, who he struck out in 4 pitches. Aaron Judge ended up popping out on the first pitch, and then getting Bellinger to strike out on 4 pitches. That's the meat of the lineup, and he worked through it like a buzzsaw on 9 pitches. It was really, really impressive. But I also think, guys, and Garcia and Nunez, and they deserve a ton of love, but Dietrich Enns, what he was able to do the inning prior, Schneemann, he ended up hitting that 1-out double, and then Enns getting the strikeout, and Pete ends up flipping the ball behind him, and he bare hands the ball to get the out at first base. Unbelievable. The Strand, the runner at third base, that was big time stuff from Enns.
And to me also, when you think about the bullpen, I think what turns good bullpens into great bullpens is what exactly happened last night, keeping the score at 2-0. When it starts to creep to 3-0, 4-0, then it really becomes heavy lifting and to try to come back in that game. But keeping the score where it was is really what determines a great bullpen from a good bullpen. And I've mentioned multiple times, but I truly think this could be a great bullpen for the Orioles. They're having multiple guys step up. Obviously, we've mentioned Garcia and Nunez a bunch on the show, but just having everybody else fill a role makes the bullpen that much stronger, that much deeper, and it really shortens these games. And I just hope they continue to get these opportunities to shorten these games up, because it could be really fun the rest of the season if they're able to do that.
And we forget Helsley has been perfect in save chances and is on the injured list. He gave us an update pregame yesterday, basically said he's just getting ready to start throwing. The good news was the inflammation was just that. The scans are clean. There's no ligament damage in his elbow. He feels good. He said that repeatedly. And he knows he's got to get in some minor league games, most likely. He's got to build back up. So this is a couple weeks. They're going, these guys doing it at the back end who have done a great job in his absence, they need to keep doing it, because they're not going to have Helsley in the next week. It might be June 1-ish. And so Rico and Nunez, wow, they're carrying the load here.
And Brad, with those two guys, and I'm sure Albarnaz, any manager, when you have two of those guys, especially Garcia, that's really in a nice groove here, you want to lean on him as much as you could possibly do it. And I think of Brandon Hyde with Felix Bautista at the height of his powers in 2023, where he's getting 4, 5, 6 out saves. Take us in the mind of a reliever where both of those guys, they pitched in the prior game. Nunez, I think he threw 24 pitches on Sunday and then came out to close that game. How is it doing back-to-backs and then sometimes even 3 straight or 3 of 4?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, when you with the mindset of a reliever, you got to pitch back to back. It's one of the main purposes of the job. The third day is a little tricky. It turns into, depending on what the team wants to do, it depends on the schedule coming up. A lot of times you want to avoid the third game because then you're kind of looking at having 2 days off in a row. At least most managers will try to do that. There was times in my career, but we talked about before the show, the game's changed a lot. I mean, I had, 6 out of 8, 5 out of 6, it's changed a lot. They've done a lot to help protect these relievers. And really they're trying to get 100% of them. So when you're being asked, you need to go out 100%, and they want to make sure that you're at least feeling close to 80, 90% of your, 100% feeling when on any given day. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with this series being so big and with the off day coming Thursday that they don't ask these guys for a third night tonight. But if it doesn't happen, you just got to be, it's one of those tricky things because if say they go out there, they give up the lead tonight, now you're without those guys 2 days in a row, and it just gets a little tricky with the bullpen. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of them was up today and the other one was down, depending on, what part of the lineup comes up. But the bullpen game is tricky. I think it's when you have as many weapons as they have, you have the luxury to kind of have one of these guys take a day off because you just don't want to return into a red situation where they've thrown 3 in a row, 4 to 5. It just gets really tricky when you start running these games up in a row on these guys.
When we continue in a moment, I want to ask these guys, I want to make a comment about Albernaz and some moves and see what Brad and Tim think about what I think. And that'll be coming up in a second here on Birdland Territory.
Big Bad Morning Show, Vinny and Haney. Inside Access. Live on YouTube weekdays 6 till 6. Search Baltimore 105.7 The Fan. Subscribe for daily shorts right to your phone and never miss what you missed. 105.7 The Fan.
So, guys, for a first-year manager, I give Craig Albernaz credit. If he's convicted, he makes the move. He pinch hit for Basayo having a great game, and it worked out. Last night in real time, I said to Luke Jones, sits next to me in the press box, I'm bringing Rico back out for the ninth. 9 pitches. He just rolled through those guys. You got to get this win. You got to give him a second inning. He didn't. He went to Nunez, who's been pretty good, admittedly. So for me, when he's convicted with a move, he's going to make it. He's not timid about doing things that get him second guessed, I guess I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree. I think last night he had a plan, and it was Rico Garcia, if we had the lead, was going to pitch the 7th, 8th, or 9th. I think it might have even been the 7th inning if that lineup had the middle guys come in there if they had the lead. And yeah, you're right. I think when you're a manager, you just have to – you have a plan before the game. Obviously, things can happen during the game that can change things. But if you have a plan in mind, you just got to stick to it. And this just shows trust. I mean, the trust he's putting in Nunez as a rookie 5 weeks, 6 weeks into the season in his first year in the big leagues is tremendous. And I think Nunez is feeding off of that trust of his manager. So I think at this point, it's he has guys he trusts. And I think I would have not been against Rico pitching the 9th last night, but the fact that he threw Nunez out there shows you and tells you everything you need to know about what he thinks about that kid.
I think that sort of dovetails into what we were just talking prior to hitting that break, to be honest, where Brad, you brought up the point, maybe one of them is up, one of them's down today. Maybe Nunez is down and Garcia is up because he only threw 9 pitches, and maybe he could do 3 straight games where Nunez, like I was saying, I think he threw 24 pitches on Sunday and threw a decent amount yesterday. So maybe he's down, but you save Garcia for a possible save opportunity tonight could be my feeling with what Craig Albernaz was thinking. But I was with you, Steve. I definitely was thinking, hey, bring him back out, man. He's unhittable right now.
You know what's too? It's funny. Sorry, Steve. I just remember Buck always saying he never was willing to mortgage games down the line for that game tonight. And I think that's, it's kind of an old school mentality, I think, with the way the game's played today. But I think it still kind of stands true because you're not willing to kind of ruin games down the way to go get the one tonight. And I think Alvarez had a plan last night, and he was going to stick to it with tonight and tomorrow in mind. And I think that's kind of what he kind of rolled with, and it worked out.
Listen, if Nunez gives it up, the whole storyline this morning in Baltimore is how could you have taken Rico Garcia out of that game? He's given up one hit all year. He rolled through on 9 pitches. He made that move. You said it. He was convicted in it. He made it. And I think it does. And I want to ask Nunez about that if I get a chance today, what you said, Brad, about that says everything in the world about how the manager feels about him. Because Nunez watched that inning too and probably thought, well, they're not going to me now. Look at what he did. So I think that's big for both those pitchers last night. And so hopefully we're knocking on wood for the Orioles that they get it going here, guys. And we have more exciting things to talk about. So, guys, another one in the books. Thank you for all the great insights to Brad and Tim. And Oriole fans, thanks for finding us. Keep subscribing to Birdland Territory, and we'll see you next time.